Hello everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm participating in March in this really fun collaboration, Shabby Creep, or hashtag Shabby Creep 24, which is an ephemera challenge hosted by the wonderful Priscilla of Release the Craftin'. So this collaboration goes all month long, and it's got a lot of exciting, wonderful, diverse, artsy folks that I'm lucky to collaborate with, including Pink Odd Bird, obviously Release the Craftin', Bellaboo Creations, Olina Spicer, Terrific Tomes, Wasteland Creations, and Black Whisper Crafts. So that being said, it is day 3 and I am on Cozy Cottage as my prompt. So I have been pretty inspired by the concept of like the bringing together of like the witchier and darker kind of community in journaling, as well as like the shabby chic kind of side of things. So I've actually decided I want to make a whole book with this kind of theme that I don't know what it will necessarily become, but we're going to get started with this Cozy Cottage theme. So I have here this book, which I think will be the perfect book and book cover for this. So this is an old book, Katharina Gunther Blumenthal. It is like, I don't know, it's quite old. It is 1918. Is it German? Probably. I don't know. It has beautiful pages, beautiful numbers too inside. It is obviously decrepitly falling apart, so it's perfect for Shabby Creep, and I have a lot of work to do to get it into a usable book again. But today what I'm starting with is actually going to be the cover, which also needs just an absolute ton of love, but I have an idea for what I want to do with it. So as you see, I have this house image that I got. I just got it online on like a free image kind of site, like a free vector site, and it's actually like a marketing image, I think, for like probably a toy house. So what I want to do is I just want to actually cut around it here. I don't want the fence around it, and I don't want the pumpkins and stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot to this, so I'm not too concerned about how it's looking right now. I just need to get it off of the white paper so that I can go to the next step here. So I'll just cut this out. And I'm not going to cut the little like pieces of the chimney on the side. I don't need those. They're not going to be meaningful on the cover anyway. Okay, almost there. So I think next we'll probably just kind of look at the size of this and how it's going to fit on here, because I have a little bit of a restoration project to do with this cover before it becomes what's going to happen. But this is kind of going to be the concept. So I'm going to do a little bit of background work here off camera so that I don't take up too much time in the video, but it's basically going to involve me taking probably apart the box from at least one of the seams, and I'm going to find some materials to kind of shabby chic this box. Now, one thing I've got to be extremely careful with is this book, it still needs to be able to fit in this box, so I'm not going to be allowed to make it like a big gator mouth. So that in itself will be a fun challenge for me. So I will go and take this box apart, clean it up, get my materials, and we will start to make the shabby chic box for this journal. So I'm just getting started by doing some basic repairing on this box, using Fabri-Tac, because it's a good high test glue for this, to just seal down the spots where this box has suffered a little bit and gotten a little raggedy at the edges. My plan is to use this beautiful fabric because it's very, very in line, I think, with the shabby chic feel of things, but it's also just beautiful. So I'm going to use it to cover cover sort of misshapen-ish parts like around the box. Like I'm going to misshape the fabric. I'm not going to have it be square. I'm just going around and I'm fraying the edges now, and then see, I'm cutting it into an irregular shape so it's not straight. Because what I'd like to do is have sort of like a irregular patchy area on all of the corners of the box that I can kind of collage into, or, you know, just solidify the box more, but also add like a decorative element. So I'm doing a little bit of more extreme like cutting and shredding on the edges. So now I'm just sort of looking at how I want to lay this out. Starting with the first corner there, and I need to probably make this a little smaller and fray a little bit more. And then I'll fray the other one too. So that will be for the other corner. So Fabri-Tac is the perfect glue for this. I'm just going to put it down in a few lines quite generously, and then use this little spreader to just spread it quite thin and evenly. And then the nice thing is when you use a fabric glue like this with a fabric, you can manipulate the fabric, right? You can push wrinkles into it. So I want to make this a little irregular, and I'll do the same with the other strip here. So that I can cover that other top corner. And this is a good way to apply fabric on a surface, spread that glue flat so that you don't get those. If you leave your glue in lines under your fabric, you can sometimes get like a wet line stain mark from Fabri-Tac. I'm doing a little patching with contractor's masking tape on the top of here, but I'm going to also cover that with fabric so you won't see any of that. That's a really good strong tape, and I'm using it for that back corner that I did do repairs on. Because this box is like, it's cardboard, it's thicker than like, it's the shape of like a VHS tape box kind of, or like a book box, but it is a little softer because it's older. It's the original 1920s box from this book. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep working that. I'm going to create like little creases and lines and things, because my ultimate plan here is that I'm going to Mod Podge over this entire thing, or not Mod Podge, but matte medium. So the fabric itself is not going to be like a soft feeling fabric anymore. It's going to take on like the book cloth kind of feel, because we're going to be applying it with glue. So now it's time to just move on to the bottom. Same technique essentially, and then just purposely adding some wrinkles. I'm leaving some of the strings there because I like that shabby kind of look. I like when shabby and weathered kind of go together. It's like when you kind of bring that element in. So now I'm just kind of thinking about, how do I want to add the house? How will I put the flowers in? So I'm taking apart the silk flowers that I have, and I've also got some black leaves. And then I'm using my paper piercer to poke holes into the box. Now this is a little bit tricky because I'm tying my embroidery floss, it's black as well, and I'm stitching through the back. So the knot is back there. It's going to end up being covered by tape, and then ultimately the backing paper once I get this whole everything on the front of the box, because there's going to be a lot going on the front of this box. So for now I'm just sewing on these silk flowers. I'd like to put a couple in, one in maybe the top corner, one in the bottom corner, sort of adjacent from one another. It's a little tricky. It did take me a bit of time, and I also used some pliers there, you can see, to pull my needle so it was a little longer and I could grab a hold of the needle. And also sometimes when you're stitching weird things like this, it can be hard to get your needle through cardboard and all those layers of silk flowers. So don't be afraid to just use some pliers to pull that needle. It'd be a lot easier on your hands. I even use it in the front to just poke it through because it was getting a little tough to sew. But you've got to keep going because everything has to be affixed down really well. So make sure that, you take breaks if you need to, if you're doing something like this. So a few more stitches and I will do a triple knot and tie off here and then begin the same kind of process in a moment for the other one. But first I'm just going to glue a few of the edges down of the leaves just to get that nice shape that I want. And then I'm going to just snip little slits in the leaves to give them a little more of a gothic-y or creepy kind of feel, that they're not such a traditional leaf. So we're just threading the needle again to go in for that second flower. Poke the box again with the paper piercer to create your first hole. And if it makes it easier for you when you're stitching, you can actually use the paper piercer to poke all your holes. So then like you're just literally pulling your thread through a hole you've already pre-poked, right? So it's a lot easier on the hands. Just be careful you don't make your hole too big or you won't get a nice secure fit. I prefer to just poke the first hole and then go through the hard work of sewing the rest by hand, because then I know I have a nice, exactly the size of the needle kind of hole that's nice and tight. So both flowers are on now. And now I need to just do a few more bits and bobs of stitching. I'm just kind of moving the box around and looking at it right now, if you're wondering what exactly I'm doing. I'm just looking at how I want to lay the house down. Okay, so I've done some fussy cutting. I decided with this one, I'm not going to use it for this. I think I only want to use these ones. So I need to take these out here. I tend to carry these little bags around with me and do fussy cutting around the house. Okay, so let's take a look here and think about what I'm going to do. So I won't glue this down quite yet because I need to do some planning about how I want to do this. That would be nice there. I think most of these I'd rather have like on the back than on the front. Not that. I think I like the leaves more than I like the flowers, oddly enough. And I think I'm cool with how that looks. So what I'm going to do is glue them down. And then I need to do some oxide ink kind of stuff to just kind of make this like a cohesive piece. So let's just glue. Okay, this one here. And I think we'll go a little, just wrap around there like that. That one there. Okay, and this one here. Good. Then I think I'd like to see if I could get something to go on the spine that would look nice. That's kind of cool. Maybe that. love the scruffiness of this front. It's so nice. Okay, then do we want to do any paper flowers here or not? I don't really know. That's not attached. Why is that there? Maybe not. I think what I should focus on maybe is probably the house on the front. Just decide how we want that to go. Okay. But then I also have these too that I want to add on here. These are like some fun little branchy things from some plants, and I'm thinking about adding that. But I first want to get rid of that pumpkin at the bottom. So I think I'm actually just going to trim one more layer off the bottom of that house, and I think that'll just be nicer. Yeah, it gets rid of that bright orange pumpkin thing. Okay. So I think the next step now, we'll glue this on, and then I'm going to get the matte medium, and I'm going to matte medium the whole thing. Just scooch that in there, make sure it's all glued down. Well, actually, no, the next step is not matte medium, it is ink oxide. There we go. Not this one, this one, black. Okay. I need my inker, which is over here. So we're going to come up onto the house a little. Onto the fabric a little. All on the edges. Just to kind of grunge this up because, you know, this is shabby cozy. Or shabby creep, I mean. I did a little bit of freeform stitching up there, and I like how that looks. Kind of go over those lines on the edges. And our creases a little bit. So after I'm done this inking, I'm going to get the matte medium, and I'm going to matte medium over the whole thing. Well, I'll probably do that off camera just because there's no sense in you watching me just paint a box with matte medium, because there's going to still be more left to do after this job, and I don't want to make this video forever long. Okay, so let me just, I'm going to ink on these too, quite liberally actually. Okay, and on the spine as well. Everything's been inked on. Now, because this is an, whoops, I'm doing an oxide ink, we can play with water a little bit on the back side, I think. I want to try to get some nice, like, watermarks on the paper. So I'm going to just let this do its thing for a couple of minutes. You can already see it starting to do its thing. And then I'm going to dry it, and then I will get the matte medium out and paint the entire box and let it dry. And then I'll come back to you so I can kind of show you how I want to finish off this cozy cottage. I will be back. Hey friends, before I run away and do this lighting, I actually ended up finding I knew I had a whole container of these lights, and I really wanted a white light rather than a colored light because I don't want this to have a Christmas vibe. So I'm actually going to go with these, and they're actually a little shorter. These are the 1 meter ones that have only 10 fairy lights on them. So I was also thinking maybe I would just do this with you so that I don't remove you from the experience. So let's try with these lights, okay? So what my thought is I'll start with the furthest away up here, and I'm just going inside the box, poking the light through again. Now, like, you do need to be a little careful because you don't want to like pull these in a way that you could damage them, okay? So where did I put my little thingamajiggers? So I'm going to do this with you, but I'm going to speed up the video and not talk during this part because it's going to be a little fiddly, and I think I'll get like nervous or something trying to do this while talking. Thank you for understanding. Okay, so I'm going ahead and just curling that sharp end of the first light, and then I'm going inside the box. I do a bend of the full amount of the wire between light 1 and light 2, so that I've got like almost, you know, like a piece of thread that I can stick through the hole. So I bring a little bit of the wire through and then carefully guide the light through. The holes are slightly bigger than the little LED lights, and I'm going to allow a little bit of the wire to hang because I'm going to come back at the end and twist these little kind of, you know, circular brocade type shapes so that I wrap the light a little in the wire, and it creates something that's bigger than the hole so it can't come back through the hole and pop out. So that's all I'm doing now, just widening the hole a little bit with the pliers so that I don't stress the light as I bring it through. The one thing you have to be careful of when you're doing this is not to break either of the 2 wires that keep those connected, because then you'll lose all the lights after the break, and you don't want that. You'll keep the ones beforehand, but when you break it, the rest are completely gone. So I'll just continue here getting these through. Okay, we got all the lights in, so you'll see them all here, and you can see a little bit of wire that's sticking out with all of them. We're going to clean that up a little bit. We're going to curl up that wire, but I want to show you inside the box. You see all those messy wires? What I'm going to do, I want to flatten them all down, and I'm going to put some good sticking tape on top of all of them, and then I'm going to take a sheet of black cardstock paper, and I'm going to glue it right over that so that you don't see that whole mess. So we have 1 light left, and I think I might leave it there as like a little guiding light to where to find this that's hiding out, you know, somewhere on your bookshelf. But I am so happy with this little cozy cottage. So I'm going to finish it up like I told you, and then I'll come back and show you the final bit. So the box is done now. See how I twisted up the wire around the lights so we have all these little bundles that will hold the lights on the front. I've got the guiding light at the bottom there, so if you're putting that, you know, on a shelf, you'll see you've got 1 little light outside so you know where you've put your little switch. I love how this looks. I love all the little lights all lit up. I mean, I wish I could put it in the dark and show it to you, but it would be kind of hard to show you what's going on. See, on the inside, I lined it with the black paper. It's all nice and flat now, and hopefully this journal still fits inside. I say this because you can probably see the stitching around it there. I've done a bit of work because this is going to become a journal. So I gilded, I stitched, I rebuilt the spine for it because it was really falling apart. So you'll see I've got a new inside in there. Ignore all that book dust. That won't be there when I get going. I'm just keeping the old scrappy book inside to keep its shape. So yeah, that's my project for today. I really like this. I like that we now have LEDs that last forever. So like you can, you know, have them. So tomorrow you need to go check out Bellaboo Creations because she's going to tackle old paper. Have a creepy day.